think about this. How would Jesus feed the flock? Well, from example, Jesus seemed to be among the people. They gathered close to him. You'll remember that on one particular occasion, there was such a press around Jesus that he actually had to get out in a boat on the lake in order to kind of have room to continue to speak. That's very different. The idea of the press and people being close around, very different to a baby church that I preached at several years ago, and that's my word for a home missions church or a church plant. The separation between the pulpit and the pew in this particular setting was very striking. It was a small building. It seated about 40 or 50 at the most. But the platform in this small building was about 2.5 to 3 feet off the floor. And then there was a large, wide pulpit. And actually anyone sitting to the front had to sit with their head cocked way back in order to see what was going on the platform just in front of them. And of course, in my opinion, the setup was poorly devised. And for me, it separated the preacher from the audience, and it did so to the extreme. Actually, I think the room that size may not even need a platform because there's not likely going to be an issue of eye contact or people actually being able to see you. Well, I was there to preach that day, and when the service was turned over to me, I just kind of took my liberty and I abandoned the pulpit and platform, and I got down among the people with my Bible open in my hand. Now, I was taught by my elders that effective pastors teach walking among the people with open Bible, perhaps notes in hand, and they do so making eye contact. And if they are teaching as opposed to preaching, they are encouraging interaction. Well, now obviously there are some places and some settings, some larger groups where that's unrealistic, and where the platform and the podium may be needed exactly as it is. But for most of us who pastor average churches to churches that are a bit smaller than average, there are several reasons this is important. As a matter of fact, this is important for a congregation of any size. I read this. People today are not looking for a sage on a stage, but for a guide by their side. That's profound. Get off the stage as much as you possibly can. Get into the real world. The second thing I think that's important in this is that anything we stand behind, which I do at various times in various settings, is something of a barrier. And I think it's important for the speaker, the preacher, to work to move from behind the barrier. It can be as simple as stepping to the side of the pulpit or walking about the platform a bit or just whatever. The third thing I would say is this: don't fall in love with your notes or your preaching manuscript if you go that route, to the point that you lose the sense of the audience that is in front of you. You need to know whether they're receiving what you're feeding or not. If they have a blank look on their face, or if they seem to be puzzled, it may well be that they don't understand what you're saying, and you need to retrace your steps and communicate it better. And then the fourth thing that I think fits in with this is we have to accept the responsibility to mentally go to where the audience is, to bring them where we are, or to take them to the field that we want them to feed in. I've heard preachers say through the years, now you need to get with me. You need to get with me. You're not with me tonight. Well, the truth of the matter is it's not the audience's responsibility to go get with the preacher. It's the preacher's responsibility to mentally gather those people up. It's his responsibility to go where they are and then move them, lead them to where he wants them to go. Does that make sense? Now, Jesus was the master at this. You can be too. In fact, the difficulty of some of the things that I've talked about today is found in their very simplicity. I look forward to your comments this week. God bless you. Have a great week.